by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday and welcome into Inside Arkansas Live. No, your eyes are not deceiving you. John Neighbors is out of here. He's gone. He's done for, at least for today, handling some personal business. He'll be back tomorrow. But what that means is it's just me, Curtis Wilkerson, my partner in crime, Andrew Ellis, and all of you sickos out there in the chat for today, holding down the fort. Going to be fun. We have a lot to get into today. We're going to have our Alumni Hall question of the day, your vibe check presented by Basis Health, what to watch for from Bryant Technologies, and your HD roofing and construction heavy hitters. But first, Andrew, buddy, tell me, how are we feeling on this fine Tuesday? And then show me my opponent, because the Supers are set for Fayetteville this weekend.
Yeah, still feeling good. Still kind of, resting in the beautiful wake of Arkansas's dominance over the weekend. And so it's hard not to feel pretty good about your baseball team. And we know who we're playing, and we're excited about it. Are we nervous about it? Of course, because that's just what we are this time of year. But we're excited about the matchup. It's going to be a fun one. Arkansas, Tennessee, all eyes in the entire country in the college baseball world are going to be on this weekend. And you honestly can't ask for much more. So can't wait to talk about this matchup. Can't wait to, watch it play out. I mean, I'm going to be, between now and Saturday, I'm going to be an absolute roller coaster, but I'm feeling good. We miss our guy, John. We wish him well at the doctor's office. It's always kind of fun. It's like, it's not that different from what we normally do. We always kind of like get a little excited. We're like, oh, hey, the inmates are running the asylum. But I do kind of miss John, if I'm being honest with you.
I miss John too. Yeah. It's like a substitute teacher day here. We'll hold it down without him. But we're a pretty dynamic trio, and so it'll be nice to get him back tomorrow, which, by the way, we're going to be out on location at that Hog Heaven house. And that's going to be a lot of fun down there. Rumor has it we might be dressed to the nines. So we'll see what all that looks like there. It's going to be fun. But for today, you mentioned it, man. We're not going to bury the lead here. No better place to start, obviously, than Arkansas getting that made-for-TV matchup in the Supers against Tennessee. I mean, it's what we've all been anticipating since the bracket reveal. It's funny. Because from the time the bracket got put out there, we talked more about that hypothetical super regional matchup than we did the actual regional that Arkansas just played. It's the same thing that we did in basketball. Even when you had Kansas staring across from you, it was automatically, St. John's round 2, Cal Patino. Everybody wants to see that DVH versus Tony Vitello matchup. You got it. And it's not just Fayetteville. It's not just Knoxville. Like, all eyes across the nation are going to be tuned into that. It's must-see TV, man. Get your popcorn ready, whatever cliche you want to put in there. It's going to be electric.
I mean, when it's March Madness, you always look at your path and you're saying, all right, who can upset who? How can we get the easiest possible trip to the Final Four? What's the easiest way we can do this? And so I understand why, as fans, regardless of what postseason format it is, we're looking for the easiest possible path. But I got to say, there are a lot of true statements that I want to list off for you here, Curtis. One true statement. Tennessee is as viable a threat to Arkansas winning the national title as any team left in this field. They are as dangerous and as talented as any opponent. 2, Arkansas is going to have to beat teams like this to win the national title. And I understand you want the easiest path to Omaha. You want to get as far as you can before you have to play that tough competition. But Arkansas's goal is the national title. And obviously it's your goal every year, but it's like a very realistic. I mean, they're the favorites to win it as of right now, knock on wood. It's a very realistic goal. And so you're going to have to beat a team like this at some point. 3, you have already beaten this very team in Baum Walker Stadium. Like, you have done it mere weeks ago. And it's a team that I think Arkansas is better than. I think Tennessee is very good. I don't think they're quite as good as they were last year in the national championship run that they went on. I think Arkansas should be favored in this matchup. They will be favored in this matchup. It's a scary one for obvious reasons. We don't want to run the risk of Tennessee and Tony Vitello ending your season, and that would certainly lead to a whole big picture analyzation of where we're at as a program and all that. And I get all that. But at the end of the day, you get a Supers matchup at home against a team you've already beaten at home and a team that you're better than. And I think for Arkansas fans, I understand the hesitation, but it's like, bring it on, man. You're going to have, like I said, the eyes of the college baseball world on you. And I understand everyone will always say, every time we talk about this, people respond with, I don't care who's watching or what storylines. I just want to win. Well, obviously, no matter what we're talking about, you want to win. But I think there's definitely some value in being on this kind of stage and being able to show up and win on this type of stage. It writes that story in a much more compelling and enthusiastic fashion that fans, I think, will remember for a long time. Regardless, win or lose, we're going to remember this weekend for a very long time.
Oh my God, man. I can't wait. Cannot wait for this. You can't get here soon enough. I want to talk about how we got here. We don't have to do the play-by-play because nobody really cares, but there were some pretty consequential things and interesting developments last night. I'm sure a lot of people watched. I did, that entire Tennessee and Wake game. And it was as big of a bleep show as you would imagine with the Vols involved. And hey, Wake Forest had their fair share of it too, but Tennessee took care of business. They win that one 11-5. But aside from learning that, Wake Forest coach is not a guy who celebrates Pride Month, what stood out most to you by way of like the trickle down for this weekend? Because there was a lot going on from, Doyle having to come in there in the 7th and close that thing out for him with a multi-inning outing on short rest to, Cannon Peebles, who had a nice series against Arkansas a few weeks ago, just, not controlling his emotions there. He gets the hook and now he has to sit and watch on Saturday in game 1. A lot of stuff that happened last night that's going to impact how Tennessee approaches things this weekend.
Yeah, anytime you're in an elimination game, you have to live like there's no tomorrow. That's just the way you have to approach it, and credit to Tennessee for doing that. I mean, they had no other choice. And like you said, they emptied the tank in a lot of ways. Emotionally, physically, mentally, they got very fired up for this game. Again, because you have to. You have to live like that and play like that. You don't necessarily have to have the antics, but you have to be as locked in, and you cannot look past it. And Tennessee clearly did not from a pitching standpoint either. They brought back that Dylan Loy kid. They brought back, I think they were thinking about bringing back they had some other guys stirring in the bullpen that they thought might come into the game. Liam Doyle, their ace, who threw over 100 pitches on Friday night, comes back and finishes the game. I think he threw like 30 pitches, something like that. That's the kind of stuff you have to do in an elimination game. Tennessee did it, and I just compare and contrast that to Arkansas, who had about as low stress of a weekend, did not have to get all fired up, did not have to stress their pitching staff. And I say that, Curtis, and it sounds like I'm painting a negative picture for Tennessee, like, oh, they're going to come in here limping and all that. I'm not 100% sure it's an advantage for Arkansas. Obviously, we'll see what they do with the pitching plan and all that. But I do think, I talked about, think about that 2022 Arkansas team and that Oklahoma State regional that they played in. That was a stressful, back and forth, crazy, balls to the wall type of regional. I think Arkansas got better that weekend. I think it kind of brought that team together. And I think there's something to that with Tennessee, where when you go to war with your brothers and you kind of are in that foxhole, it creates some confidence. And so I don't think this Tennessee team, which by the way, I said yesterday, I was like, they might come in here limping if they get through Wake Forest. I no longer really feel that way after watching them. Like, I think they look as dangerous and as dialed in as ever. And it may be an advantage to them because they've been in some close games. Arkansas didn't have to play a close game this weekend. But I think there's a path to us after this weekend looking back and saying, well, actually Arkansas was very rested, very mentally balanced, like they were ready to roll, and Tennessee may have blew their load a little bit earlier. It's going to be a fascinating conversation for us to kind of ponder these next few days, but that was the thing that really jumped out to me, is just the difference in how these two teams weekend went from a pitching and from a just antic standpoint. Another thing that we talked about right before the show started is Tennessee, when they came to Fayetteville 3 weeks ago, were a lot toned down. They were not the usual bombastic, if you will, Tennessee Volunteers, who are puffing out their chest and doing all that. They didn't do as much of that. They were toned down for sure, and they lost the series. That isn't causation. Correlation does not equal causation, but I wonder if that's something that, we saw them kind of get back to the old Tennessee this weekend. I wonder if that's something that's going to carry over to Fayetteville, if we're going to see a very different version of that team coming into town.
Yeah, that's some really, really interesting stuff there. And I want to go back to one of the earlier points that you made about, Tennessee being in the situation, the dogfight, coming together as a team. Sometimes you can get better in those scenarios. And Tony Vitello mentioned something kind of along those lines where he was like, hey, these guys performed well in areas that they struggled in a majority of the season with the pressure ratcheted up to kind of get through this thing and get over the hump. So there very well may be something to what you're saying there. But yeah, you mentioned, are they going to be toned down again? Is Tony going to show respect for his elders and everything like that? I'm fascinated to see, man, because every other time I have turned on a Tennessee baseball game, it's been chaotic. And it was last night too, like the chirping from both teams. a lot of fire and passion, the extracurricular stuff on the field, the celebrations, pimping the home runs, pimping the strikeouts, all that stuff, man. It's just like on 10 compared to what you would normally see, even in moments that aren't that crazy. Like the Fisher kid, I mean, he's different. Okay. He does that. But some of the things from him, like he took a walk and he was, through the bat and celebrating. And I'm like, I get it, man, but calm down a little bit. Obviously he like stepped out of the box, like mid at bat to fire up the crowd. Got called a slur that he didn't hear in the moment, but then he hit the nuke. Just a lot of stuff there. Liam Doyle was going nuts. For whatever reason, they just seem to kind of thrive on that energy. And it's weird because the focus and kind of being even killed, a lot of that plays into baseball and what you have to do. But I wonder, man, if Tony is just going to kind of turn him loose a little bit more this weekend than he did in the past. And if he does, buddy, it's going to get spicy in Fayetteville real quick, and do that at your own peril. You might thrive under those conditions. And we talked about it before we got on the show here. But to your point, careful with what you do there, because we've also seen what a pissed off Arkansas team is capable of. Remember how fired up they were in that series against Tennessee when they swept? The emotions are going to be running high. It's going to be an anxious and fired up environment in Fayetteville. Like I cannot wait for this, man.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating because I do think it's an important storyline. It's an important part of this thing because and that's one thing that Dave Van Horn and his group, they pride themselves on not being the too high, too low team that's going to be going crazy. He gets a little annoyed when he sees his guys jumping up and down and stuff like that after a big play, after a big strikeout or whatever. I also think Tennessee, of course, was at home yesterday, which, by the way, their crowd, Andrew Fisher was begging him on Sunday night, please come to the game, which is always kind of funny. Which that's a whole separate thing. But they had a good crowd and it was rowdy and it was fired up. I wonder if maybe that's a correlation too of like, are you going to be able to do that same thing at Baum? But I think the atmosphere, I mean, it was pretty good when Arkansas played Tennessee a couple weeks ago. It might be on a completely different level than what we've seen maybe all year. Maybe ever. Like I really don't want to get too ahead of myself, but it could be a wild weekend at Baum Walker Stadium. I wonder how that's going to affect the Tennessee Vols and maybe some of their antics. And then I think some of their players, it's like, yeah, you can get all excited and you should be excited. Can you do it again and again and again, which is what you're going to have to do over the course of a 3-game series? It's going to be fascinating to watch it play out. I wish it were tomorrow. I wish it were Saturday already. I can't wait to watch these two teams go at it, man.
When the batter, that last batter for Wake last night, when he stepped out of the box for a minute there with 2 strikes, did you see Doyle look at him and tell him he was effed?
Yeah, yeah, which he was, by the way. He was.
That's wild. He ain't gonna do that to Viva Aloy. I'll tell you that right now. So I don't care if they turn him loose. You understand there are levels to this, my man. But yeah, you're right. The atmosphere, it's gonna be ridiculous. The tension, the anticipation, all that stuff. Like the vibes are gonna be completely different. Not in a bad way, necessarily, but just there was, I think, a lot of confidence, and rightfully so, going into the regional, and people were excited and everything like that. But there's going to be more tension, a lot more suspense. I hope Arkansas just comes and rolls through 2 games and we're out of there. But it's going to be just a different type of feel down there. One thing that we have to consider is the schedule, and I want to pull that up here so we can look at it. That got released earlier this morning. Contrary to earlier announcements, this Super Regional will not be played in Eugene, Oregon. Got confirmation from a spokesperson at the U of A. It will be in Fayetteville, in case anybody was trying to rush to find some flights there. So that's good news. But at any rate, what do we think about this? So here's a look at the schedule for the weekend. Weather pending, of course, because based on the forecast, a few days out here, we may have to navigate around Mother Nature a little bit. We'll see. Things change. I don't know if it happens and we have some delays, just come kick it with us at Foghorns, right? But the Saturday start here, the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I think that's beneficial to Tennessee. Obviously, not that big of a deal. We knew they were either going to start on Friday or Saturday. Here we are, right? So there's that part of it. I look at the game times and I see 4-2 middays, so we don't get under the lights at Baum. We might anyway with the weather, but scheduled wise, and so it's like, okay. We'll see what Monday would look like if they had to go to that TBD. But then I see that they're on the network, ESPN a couple times. I think people understand the gravity of the matchup. What do you think just about how the schedule lays out here?
So yeah, like it would certainly be a little bit maybe more ideal if you had a night game mixed in there. One thing I think about that we don't talk about a ton is like if you have a 7 p.m. game on Saturday, you're not going to have an afternoon game. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to do that type of thing where you're like having a quick thing. So I think it was going to be either all day or all night. I probably would have preferred 7 or 8 p.m. or whatever for all these games just to kind of soak in the vibes. But you mentioned the ESPN thing, which I think is a big factor here. For those that have the ESPN app and stream everything regardless, it doesn't matter. But in terms of the audience you're playing in front of, night and day different when you're on ESPN compared to the Plus or whatever. Who knows what that Monday game is going to be? If it ends up being a Game 3 Monday, it very well could be a night game, which would be exciting there. But I want to quote wise words from a former Hog, Jack Kinley, legendary member of the 2019 College World Series team, says, "Primetime is whenever we play." And it was a good moment, good little shirt we got to make and all that. But there's a reason why he said that. You think Hog fans are really going to be like, well, I was going to go to the game, but now it's at 4. I ain't going. It's like, it's going to like whatever time they play that game, when it happens, it's going to feel like the biggest event in the world. And we're going to be thrilled to see it nonetheless. So, yeah, I probably would have preferred a night game, but I'm okay with how it played out. And if it ends up being a Monday game, which ideally it wouldn't be a Monday game, but I'd love to see a night game for that to kind of overcompensate.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that one for sure. And I'm curious. So, now that we're to the point where, I don't know, like the hypothetical is a reality now, because again, like we've been talking about the potential of this since we saw the bracket, hell, since before they even announced it, because the further along we got on Selection Monday, we were sitting there thinking, they're going to do this, aren't they? Well, now it's real. And so you've got this Arkansas Tennessee Super. How would you describe the way you feel right now? We talked about it yesterday. Do you want Tennessee? Do you want Wake? Bring on the Vols, or not? Screw that. We want the easiest path. Get Wake in here. We had a lot of discussion about it, but now that it's real and you slept on it for a night, are you confident? Are you nervous? Are you anxious? All of the above, because like not only is Tennessee night and day more talented than any of the teams we saw at Baum last weekend, it feels like, well, it doesn't feel like, there are just so many more layers to this matchup that feel like they ratchet up the pressure. And then obviously you've got the spotlight of college baseball on you. How are you feeling right now? I thought it was going to take me longer into the week before I started to feel it, but like the anxiousness, the anticipation, it's hitting me already. I can feel it in the belly.
No, certainly. You said all of the above earlier. It's all of the above. It's the anxiety, it's the excitement, it's the just everything. Like, and I am confident in the Razorbacks, but I'm also nervous about how good Tennessee is. I think when I look at this, if I were to rank, there's 16 teams left now in the field. If I were to rank all 16 teams, Arkansas and Tennessee are objectively easily top 5, maybe top 3. And so that's what sucks about it, is like you're playing one of the best teams left. But that kind of excites me as well. In that, like that challenge. And I also go back to what I felt preseason and really just throughout the season. Last year was Tennessee's year. That was the best Tennessee team. I mean, that was one of the best college baseball teams ever, probably, honestly. But that was like a loaded, like Tennessee pushed all their chips forward, and they have a good team this year. They reloaded a good bit. This is not as good of a team as that team. Objectively, like it's just not. Even if they were to repeat, like I just think that team last year was a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more potent, and had a little bit more star power there in the lineup. But I think Arkansas, this is
we've had our first blip on the radar here, but that's okay. And I will tell everybody right now, I know Andrew's got the little freeze situation. That's all good. He'll be back with us in just a second. At some point today, and I know this because they're taking care of my neighbor's lawn right now, the folks are going to come over here and cut my grass. And that's okay. It just takes them a few minutes to get in the front here by the office, but it's got to be done. Like sometimes if they'll send me a text message, they're like, hey, we're going to come out at this time. I'm like, can you come out after 1:30? I do the show. But I'm not doing that this time because I need him to get here before the weather. And my grass is too tall, man. Like every time my dog goes out to take care of his business, his pickles getting tickled. Like we can't have that. It's got to get cut. So if you hear a weed whacker in the background for a couple minutes, I apologize. We're all good. But no, I'm picking up what you're putting down there. And let me follow up with this, Andrew. do we feel like the majority of the pressure here though is on DVH and Arkansas? I mean, you're at home, like you've been the better team all year. You've been conspicuously absent from Omaha the last couple years. And it's also, master versus apprentice. Like there's so much here. Like on the flip side, obviously they want to win, they want to repeat, all that stuff, but it's not as much pressure, man. Like Tony's got his ring already. So he's kind of got that grace period built in, or at least he should. I guess you could say, like Dave's been his kryptonite here. And hey, for my untrained eye, this appears to be quite a job interview for down the road. But I mean, honestly, this seems like the weight is on Arkansas's shoulders to me.
100%. It's for all those same reasons that I was saying before my internet crapped out on me, is that this is Arkansas's best team ever on paper. This is not Tennessee's best team ever on paper. And like you said, they just came off winning a national title. This is not a do or die year for them. It kind of is for Arkansas, and it's felt that way all year. So that's the only aspect of this whole thing that makes me nervous, aside from just Tennessee having, a really good pitcher, really loaded lineup, all those things.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, folks, we're going to get into your chats here in just a moment, because I know everybody's excited and has their opinions that they're throwing out here about this series. But I want to transition first to our What to Watch For segment that's presented by our friends over at Bryant Technologies. And we know that they're your home for all your network and security needs. Bryant Technologies is dedicated to delivering high-quality network infrastructure and security camera solutions, taking pride in their exceptional workmanship and commitment to keeping your business operations seamlessly connected and secure. They do a little bit of everything, whether it's structured cabling, security camera installation, digital signage, or TV mounting. Bryant Technologies has you covered, servicing the entire state of Arkansas and all of the bordering states. Have Bryant Technologies help you with all your network and security needs. Just give them a call, 870-883-0330. Check out their website, www.bryantstechnologies.com, or just use that nifty QR code right there at the top right-hand corner of your screen. It'll take you right where you need to go. Okay, so naturally, after the game, we talk so much about how we feel, right? But Tony Vitello, he was asked about coming back to Arkansas for a Super Regional, and we've got his response here, so let's pull it up.
What thoughts on going back to Arkansas?
I guess they win.
Yes.
Okay.
They won last night.
So I mean, I didn't expect them to. I mean, I've talked to those guys before all this started, but I didn't know it was complete. When you're in the backyard, at least the neighborhood I grew up in, it was still kind of everybody meets out on the street and you play a bunch of games. And whenever I lost, maybe my dad did it to me, I was kind of a little punk. But I always wanted to, let's run it back. Let's redo it. So at the very least, my first reaction is we want to be playing this time of year, as does anybody that's left. I don't know if any other games are still going on. I haven't followed much of that stuff, but it's a blessing to be playing. And this team has been confident going on the road, but at the very least, they get a chance to redo the thing.
I mean, I absolutely love the did they win? Like, stop the cap, sir, please. But that's interesting. Like, the run it back mindset, obviously it's not lost on him what happened the last time they came down here a few weeks ago. I'm curious, as much as we, as we saw Tennessee pop up on the bracket as a potential opponent, and, a lot of folks are like, nah, I'm good. Maybe we can avoid that. You got to think of the flip side of it too. And imagine how Tony and those guys feel, or their fans. They understand it too, in terms of, what this means with the, if you're peeling back the layers of the onion a little bit, but not at the level that we do. They also have to stare down the barrel of an Arkansas team that kicked their ass on this field just a few weeks ago. So what'd you make of Tony's quotes right there?
Yeah, I mean, no surprise here. Obviously, he knew Arkansas won, but I will say, I didn't view that as like a shot at Arkansas. I think he was trying to pretend as though he's so locked in on the task, and you never look ahead, and you blah blah blah. That was really what he was trying to convey. He even said, I haven't been paying attention much to the other games or whatever, which is also a lie. But it's a lie that I'm okay with. Like, I don't really care, the we're on to Cincinnati, Bill Belichick type of thing. I don't think he was like trying to take a shot at Arkansas or anything. And again, he said he didn't know they won, but he already had a response about how they feel about the series, how they're going to approach it, getting their lick back and all that. And so, it's all fine and dandy to me. I think he understands what he's up against. He understands. I mean, everybody's been tweeting the clips of him talking about the atmosphere and him back at Arkansas and saying all that stuff. He understands and he knows it. And also, he's going to lean in. This is not going to be the last time he says something this week that pisses off Arkansas fans. He's going to say a lot of things that play into this. I mean, listen, we've said it all about Tony Vitello. He is the perfect guy for Arkansas to be playing in this type of situation. He is a very polarizing figure for a reason, and I look forward to welcoming him and his ball club to Fayetteville.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Me too, buddy. Does this work the same way the regionals do, where they'll have a practice day on Thursday or Friday or whatever, and media availability with both teams? I assume that's the case.
Yeah, they usually use some type of media day. I mean, a practice day, something like that.
It's going to be a bunch of. I was going to say it's going to be a bunch of Arkansas media there, and Tennessee will bring people too. But he's going to have plenty of opportunities to get teed up to speak on everything, and it's going to be good. We'll have some good sound bites.
I definitely look forward to that a lot. In years past, they would do the thing for Arkansas where they would line up the entire team and just let people go and interview them and all that. Don't think we are going to be getting anything like that, but who knows? But yeah, it'll definitely be exciting to see Tony V, because I don't know how many media guys they sent a few weeks ago, but for this, it'll be a lot more for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, we've talked plenty about how we feel, so let's see how the chat is holding up over here with our vibe check presented by Basis Health. You know what I don't feel like doing when I'm sick or I'm under the weather? I don't feel like loading up the car, driving to the doctor's office, sitting in a waiting room, stressing out, waiting to be seen. No, man. And that's why Basis Health is the ideal alternative with their mobile medical delivery, those healthcare services where they take the stress out of the equation by coming directly to your front door. Urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, more. Basis Health is here for you when and where you need them the most. Let's get into the chat and see how people are doing here. Where to start? We talked about this a little bit, but I want to pull it up anyway. Trey says, thoughts on Saturday, Monday. Did the NCAA help out Tennessee with not going Friday, Sunday? Also, and I know that you want to talk about this too, is O'Malley. Also, O'Malley as an underdog this weekend, worth putting any money on. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
So I'm gonna save O'Malley for a later segment that we are going to do. In short, yes, Trey, he is, especially at the price. But in terms of the Saturday through Monday, so I tried to talk about this the other day. There's 4 series that start on Friday, 4 that start on Saturday. You have 6 teams yesterday that advance to the Supers, and therefore, ideally, you'd have it where it'd be 4 and 4, and you'd just be able to kind of do it that way. There were 2 teams that got screwed, neither of which were Arkansas, who could not have gotten screwed in this situation because Arkansas was already done playing. I believe it was North Carolina, who, by the way, has to play at 11 a.m. on Friday after playing last night. Like, that's a little bit of a tough draw. And I believe it was Oregon State. So the question is not, did Arkansas get screwed? Where are they going to get screwed? It was whether or not Tennessee was going to get screwed. And they did not get screwed. So I guess by association, you could say Arkansas didn't get screwed because their opponent didn't get screwed. But really, it's like, this is kind of probably how it needed to be. They do 4 on Friday, 4 on Saturday. Nobody's getting screwed. They just start the series. It's like that. That's just how they split it up. But no, the only thing that I thought about with this is the weather and how Friday might be the best day to get a game in. And so that's what makes me a little nervous. I wish they had that extra day of cushion, but ultimately it'll be fine. And we'll see how Tennessee handles their pitching plans. I don't imagine, even though it's on Saturday, I still don't imagine Liam Doyle is going to start game 1.
Yeah, for sure. And, talking about getting screwed, and you mentioned it a while ago, like what would really sucked for Arkansas is, if they had the late first pitch game 1, early first pitch game 2. I saw somebody in the chat say that's exactly what happened to Auburn. So sucks to suck if that's the case for those teams over there. But, and then we talked about this off air with Arkansas starting here on Saturday. That would probably mean that they would be day 2 starting in Omaha, assuming they get there, right?
But yeah, that would definitely mean that. I would at least imagine.
Gotcha. And I'm testing your knowledge of the rule book here. I have no idea if this is the case or not, but can you do double headers in a super if you need to, or they really do 1 game a day kind of deal? I have no idea.
I would imagine you can, but I don't know what normally it's weird where it's like in a conference series, you can't go past that certain thing. I would imagine that's not a thing. So I don't know if it could bleed over into Tuesday. Like, I don't know when the cutoff is to the point where they just, what happens, by the way, Curtis, let's say Arkansas and Tennessee play 2 games and they split, and then they're never able to get game 3 in. Arkansas advances. That is how that works. which would obviously be fine with me. I'm not well versed on the rules. I'll have to look it up on terms of, I would imagine they have some type of doubleheader thing, or you can resume a game at a certain point or whatever. Cause I mean, hell, in these regionals, you just play games whenever you can play them. But I'll have to get for sure on how the rules are, but I'm not well versed on it, but I would imagine they can play doubleheaders, right?
I would think so. I mean, I'm sure they would make every effort to, excuse me, to get the games in, as opposed to having to do what you were just saying there with playing 2 and then sending Arkansas on through, which, hey, whatever, I'd be fine with that. Let's see what else we have here. Finch at the top. I like this. He said, let's get this party started, ready to get off the rails now that Uncle John ain't around. A lot of that's on you guys. There's one thing that's a given when John's not around, because there's not a third voice to take up a bunch of airtime. We get into the chat pretty heavy. So if it's going to get off the rails, it's going to be, well, we're going to blame it on you guys, whether it's our fault or not. Just letting you know off the top. Ryan B, I got to sneak a basketball thing in here today. He says, I thought that the CBS B-ball tiers were pretty fair. I'm just convinced we have the shooting. I think he's saying I'm just not convinced we have the shooting or depth to compete with Kentucky or Florida. I don't know if you saw this or not, Andrew. I talked about it on the Pod at the Palace this morning, though. But at CBS Sports, they just tiered the SEC, and they had national title contenders was tier 1, and it was Kentucky and Florida. And then tier 2 was the top 25 caliber teams. And it was Tennessee, Arkansas, Alabama, and Auburn. And I know some people were like, what why wouldn't Arkansas be up there with all the retention and everything? And I think I agree, though. It's not that Arkansas can't be a Final Four contender and everything like that. But they need things to fall the right way. I think that next tier, which could be a top 10 team with potential to get where they want to go. But I do think that's fair, as much as I hate to admit it. Now, if they do go ahead and add, that final piece to the puzzle that they're sniffing around for, then my mind could change and you can throw them up there. But I'm not too upset about it.
I have a weird take on this stance that I maybe I'm all way off base here. It's not that I think Arkansas should be up a tier. I think Kentucky and Florida should be down a tier. I think that I look at those rosters, and they're very good rosters, very well rounded, of course. I think Florida's objectively worse than they were last year. If you just look at their roster. Now, I also slept on their roster last year. And so that's fair. Maybe, I'll just give Todd Golden the benefit of the doubt. But I look at Florida and I'm like, are they a bona fide national championship team again? I don't know. I mean, they were very, very good last year. I think that's a very high bar. I don't know if it's a guarantee they're going to be on that same level. And Kentucky, I certainly don't feel like they have the frontline talent to where it's like a no doubt. Could both of those teams win the national title? Could both of those teams compete? Absolutely. But I don't know if I look at any roster in the SEC and I'm like, oh yeah, for sure, Final Four team, for sure competing for a national title. I kind of think, and I look at Arkansas the same way, where I like the roster, I like their retention, have some questions, you know what I mean, where I don't think Arkansas should be up in that national title tier yet, but I also don't know if I look at any of these SEC teams. Like I look at Auburn, and I think their roster's probably worse than it was last year as well. Like I think there's a lot of SEC teams who have worse rosters than they had last year, and I don't think Arkansas is in that club. Yeah,
it's going to be a pretty interesting year in the SEC. It's going to be a really good league again, but it's just different. Florida, they had that entire front court run it back, which was a big time strength of theirs, their offensive rebound and everything. But like Walter Clayton ain't walking back through that door, man. And Elijah Martin was really good for him. Will Richard, that backcourt trio was so dynamic, and they lost the sub that came in there. Hey, we know Boogie Flan's a good player. The kid from Princeton they got was really, really good at that level, but you're asking for those dudes to do a ton for you. And then Kentucky, it's like they're 8 through 15 on the roster is better than anyone's in the country. Are those guys going to play? You know what I mean? Because I don't think there's that much of a difference between their 1 through 8 and their 8 through 15. It's just a bunch of the same kind of level of talent players. If the Quaidens kid is healthy and contributing for him, I think that would be really big for him, but you don't know if that's going to be the case, but they're also relying on a lot of guys to be better than they ever have been at college. And love the retention for Arkansas. Love the big guys that they brought in. Get another piece, give yourself some insurance, and I think they'll be just fine there. Ty Langston says, Inside Arkansas Live from Eugene, Oregon. Could you imagine, Providence, San Francisco, Eugene? Why not? Does this serious question? Does this happen to anyone else?
I'm sure it does, but it is funny that they did the Alaska thing a couple years ago, and then now they're doing this. But you know what? Hey, if we go to Eugene, we can visit the Nike facility. It's not too far away.
Yeah, it's very true. Very true. I've been to Oregon's campus and their facilities and everything, and they're expensive.
Pretty good.
As you would imagine they're pretty sick. But Ty also says, you're not going to thank us for making y'all part of our afternoon this afternoon. No, I'm not going to steal the John Neighbors, taglines there. He'd get mad at me and block me on Twitter or something if I did that.
I like that he capitalized the this afternoon.
This afternoon. That's exactly right. I like some of the vibes in here. Austin says, well, hopefully Tennessee is packing diapers to go see daddy.
Did you like that Tony V mentioned Dave Van Horn in that clip that we played earlier? Talk about how his dad, whenever he would beat him in the yard, he would let him play again and all that. I like that.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Big Salty Hog says, what up, boys? Get to catch the live for my B-Day present. It's awesome. Happy birthday.
I think about so Big Salty Hog, he has to live on the beach, right? Right?
I would think so.
Oh, yeah, he's probably a Gulf Shores guy or like somebody, somewhere. Him having a June birthday and being Big Salty Hog, I bet he's having a good summer. And the Hogs are about to win a natty too. Like he's having a good day. Happy
birthday. We're not going to serenade you here, but no. In our minds, we just sang you the song. That's the best we can do. I love this. JT's talking about tomorrow when we get suited and booted. He said you are going to show up in tuxes like Brennan and Dale showed up in that interview. That would be a very Curtis and Andrew thing to do for sure. And then we've got Heartbroken Hog, and he says, y'all don't need John. Y'all are a big two like Tim Duncan and David Robinson.
This is hilarious, Curtis. You know why?
I know why.
Well, one, because, you can pick you can have your pick of all the Spurs players from that era or whatever. But we were getting set up for the show the other day, and we were at Foghorns. This was during game 2. And a guy just comes out from the pool table and he goes, Tony Parker really was more of a role player more than anything. And he just walked away.
That's crazy.
And then he came back later and introduced himself and asked him. He had no idea who we were.
Yeah, that was insane.
Tony Parker, role player, man.
So which is wild. So if we're Tim Duncan and David Robinson, is John Tony Parker? I mean, is he the role player and the point guard? Is he Manu Ginobili? I mean, we probably need to assign him somebody here.
The reason that John is not Tony Parker,
I don't know.
Tony Parker, at least at once upon a time, I don't know if he still is anymore, was sexually involved with Eva Longoria.
Okay. All right. So we're going to give him that credit.
I think he's Manu Ginobili, who I love. I love Manu Ginobili, but I'll give him Manu.
There we go. Okay. Oh man, that's pretty good. All right. I guess we need to talk about this sort of. We kind of hinted at it at the in the open there, but from Arkansas Pig Pawner 69 says, how about the Wake Forest coach going viral as well? These coaches are out here bugging. Yes. If you can read lips, you saw Wake Forest coach call Tennessee's Mr. Fisher there a slur that you shouldn't say, especially ever, but this month in particular. And man, that went well as viral as you would expect it to in the scenes there. But what it did lead to, which is no surprise, is another one of these joint statements from an athletic director and a coach. We got one with Florida for O'Sullivan acting like an idiot. And then we got one from Wake Forest with this coach, and his name escapes me for just having you should never say it, but man, the wrong place, wrong time for that camera for him to be irritated at Fisher pimping out actually, he wasn't pimping anything at the point. He was just firing up the crowd before an at bat. So
yeah, that's what's funny is of all the moments to say that term, and again, we don't condone it. You should never say it. But of all the times that Tennessee baseball is doing things that would warrant that statement, I don't know if that was the time, but no, listen, seriously, you shouldn't say that word. But I also, as always, I love the internet reaction more than I love the moment itself. And this is no exception. I mean, seeing our boy Wes Rucker over there at 24/7, just peeing his pants over this and calling for suspensions, and people are. Here's my thing: is what are we supposed to do? What are we really supposed to do? Because I get it; it's a thing he shouldn't have said. He got caught on camera saying it. You release a statement, which again, you kind of have to do that. But as a society, what are we? Are we saying, hey, Wake Forest should suspend him for the first series next year? Are we? Should they get fined for hate speech? What do y'all really want to happen? I really think this is the thing where it's just a thing that happened, and we're like, hey, that was bad. He shouldn't have said that.
Yeah,
Can we
don't
just
do
move
that.
on? Like, that's kind of all there is to it, right?
Yeah, own it, wear it, take accountability, accept whatever consequences, come from it and move on. That was yeah. I mean, that's as upset as Wes Rucker's been since Jalen Williams took a charge. But it's I mean, that was a wild
confirmed
deal.
yet that it wasn't AI generated? Because that was his first statement. Was he was like, I have to make sure this wasn't AI.
Yeah, I don't think it was. But
Who made an AI video?
It's crazy. That's also the time frame that we're living in this world where anything you see on the internet, before you react to it, you have to at least consider that. It's like, oh, well, I guess I better make sure that this is real. So, goodness gracious, man.
I cheer for a baseball team, not the Arkansas Razorbacks. I mean, I do cheer for them, but I cheer for a baseball team that once had a guy suspended in a postseason series because he made a racial joke. Do you remember this? It was Yuli Gurriel, and he was making fun of Yu Darvish, and he did something with his eyes.
Oh,
something with his eyes that was kind of like making fun of him, and they really did suspend him for the first 5 games of the next season. And so I'm like, is that what y'all want? Is that what will make y'all happy? But really, it's just like,
that's tough.
It's a bad thing. You shouldn't do that. And he released his statement. He's very sorry. I'm sure he's going to do a lot of deep reflection. I'm sure he's going to go to therapy and counseling and all that. But no, I mean, honestly, it was funny.
Yeah, just brutal for him. And I wonder what happens there, like, because I'm sure people were getting tech like Wake Forest, like, hey, this is coming after the game. Like, I wonder if he had any clue that he got caught there before the end of the game, because I watched some of his press conference, and I to my knowledge, he wasn't asked about it, but he didn't strike me as a guy that knew that it was coming. I'm sure he got, probably his phone was getting blown up, and then he had like messages from his AD or whatever, and then it was a situation where he was like, oh, I really, really screwed up. Are you sorry that you did it, or are you sorry that you got caught? We can have that debate all day long, but can't say that. And you have to have the awareness to know that the camera can be on you at any freaking time, man. You could have called him a lot of things there and people would have laughed. Like Vitello got caught after the game saying, F these MF, or, like he was letting it fly there. Very different. So you got to have some awareness, man.
That's the thing, is you got to know that there could be a camera on you at any moment. And that's really the big, I mean, obviously don't say homophobic slurs to your opponent also. But also it's like, I just love the people that are like trying to clutch their pearls as if like we didn't know this is kind of a thing that happens. And that's not us condoning it. It's just like, dude, like these series get very tense. Stuff gets said dugout to dugout. It's just like, it's just crazy that it got caught. But in his statement, he said something like, I don't remember the moment clearly. Like he like barely even remembered it.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. Gray Wolf says Tony V coaches his team to be jerks. Don't understand the love he gets from some Hog fans. Thoughts?
So I would say that one, we don't, the love that he gets from Hog fans is, I would say, in spite of the way that his team acts at times, not because of like the story of why everyone loves Tony V. It's because, I mean, he was here for a while and he was a coach at Arkansas. And so they loved him then. He's, become one of the best coaches in college baseball, a national championship winning coach. People love him for what he represents, which is, again, perhaps like if you were building Arkansas is not doing this now, but like if you got your pick of the litter, if you were starting a fantasy college baseball team and you got to pick any one coach to build your program, Tony V is probably the number 1 overall pick. And just in terms of what he's been able to do at Tennessee in a short amount of time. And you can make a case for other guys. I'm not saying Arkansas has to hire him or anything, but like that's why he gets the love. It's not because of the way his team acts. And I think it is also worth noting that what he did at Tennessee is not the same as what he would do at Arkansas. Not saying they're going to be buttoned up and doing whatever, but he took over a Tennessee program that had nothing. So they kind of built a little, like part of the way they act is in that context. I think taking over, kind of like when you're a football coach that gets hired, like you take Houston to the AAC title or whatever, you get hired at Texas, you're going to act a little different. I think it would be that way with Tennessee and Arkansas as well.
I agree with that 100%. Okay, a couple more chats and then we'll move on to some other things here. We do have a super chat from Razorback. We appreciate it. He says, can y'all bring back the 6-pack after baseball?
I would say our show, Inside Arkansas Live, is not terribly dissimilar from the 6-pack because we talk about non-sport stuff a lot. This summer, we certainly are going to be, I wouldn't say every day we're just going to be talking about.
Yeah. Well, to the point that I think that you were getting ready to make there, this summer, and once baseball's over, there's really nothing going on until we get to like SEC football media day. And so we'll be able to do some projection and some evergreen stuff and all that Mount Rushmore thing. But let's be honest here. When it's light news days, it gets off the rails. And for those who are wondering what the 6-pack is, we had the Natty State 6-pack back in the day. And it was me and Andrew, and we just go through a 6-pack of topics that were not always sports related or not always Arkansas Razorback related. And it would be anything weird, anything pop culture, music, other sports related, but it went against the grain a little bit and it was a lot of fun. But no, we do get into those things here. And we'll see what the summer looks like and what kind of time we have and everything. But I did really, really enjoy doing that. It was a fun show. Anytime I can get Andrew talking about crazy stuff, it's a good time, no doubt about it.
And again, like we do it on this show a pretty good amount. I mean, it gets off the rails a lot.
Yeah, it does. Last one here, and then we'll move on from the chat, and we'll run it back with you guys here in a little bit. Hunter Ratio says, do you guys think this could be the best super regional environment ever?
It should be, right? I mean, Ole Miss was a very good one. Hell, South Carolina was a very good one as well. Like this feels like a different level. It was a pretty good environment, a few weeks ago. I think it should be.
I agree. Yeah, I think so too. My super regional experience there, like on site, the only one for me was NC State. And that was fun for one entire game. After that, it was super, super stressful. And it didn't go Arkansas's way there. I think it's going to be, and it would be for a number of reasons. It's it's a super, people are excited. You want this program to get back to Omaha. Arkansas is very, very good. You see the path in front of them. That's all great. Tennessee's a very good team. They're also the defending champions, which adds a little bit to it. And then you've got the Vitello DVH angle. Everything about this screams electricity. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. And I know that people are, getting anxious, a little stressed out about it. And honestly, if you are stressed out about the weekend, it might be time for a little bit of self-care, right? And we've got just the place for you. It's Radiant Elements Medical Spa. There's no doubt that tough workouts deserve a tough recovery. At Radiant Elements Medical Spa, their deep tissue sports massage and infrared sauna help you bounce back faster, hit the weights harder, and stay in the game. Some of you may feel self-care makes you soft. You might be thinking that right now after I just said it. It does not. Self-care isn't soft. It's what winners do, actually. Maybe the Razorbacks have been over there taking care of themselves here recently. They should. And for you guys who are wondering what to give your special someone for that special occasion, Radiant Elements Medical Spa, they have all different types of services to make it the best gift ever. I'm trying to get my wife over there soon as it works out into her schedule and everything, to get one of those prenatal massages. I think that would help her a lot. These hands are magic, man, but I need a professional to take care of the business there. So check them out in the Weddington Plaza right next to the Lion's Mane, or book an appointment online with the QR code at the top right corner to get 15% off your first service. It's Radiant Elements Medical Spa, self-care for everyone. Okay. So Andrew, it's funny how Arkansas just, kind of went through a ho-hum regional here as a national seed is supposed to. They just kind of did their job amidst all the chaos and craziness elsewhere. And I know we want to talk about some of these other things here and how this is all shaping up. It's been a wild bracket, man. And what it's done is led to what looks like a pretty favorable path, all things considered, here for the Hogs. And I'll pull that up in a few minutes, but man, some of these results yesterday that just added on to what's been a crazy, crazy outcome from the regional. Struggle bus for the SEC, man, and Ole Miss kind of joined the list of duds from the league, falling at home to Murray State and getting eliminated. It was a bad day to be a popped collar or a cardigan in Oxford.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty crazy, and like you said, the side of Arkansas's bracket looks to be somewhat favorable. Certainly could have been a lot more favorable if our boys over at Little Rock had been able to pull through there, which, no shame in the way they went out there. But yeah, I've definitely enjoyed the chaos, and it's just nice. Again, we've said it 1,000 times, but to be able to just sit back and relax and watch it all play out has been cool. And shout out to Murray State, man. 4 seed gets it done. Tried to blow a lead there in Oxford, but I'm glad they were able to get it done. Because we said we were going to have to give Ole Miss some props if they came back and won that regional.
Yeah,
And they
didn't want
How
to.
about that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. They did not. Feels good, man. And there you have it. We were also, we were all Trojan men last night.
Of course.
Most of us are anyway. But listen. First of all, major props to Little Rock for just having LSU in hell for like 36 hours straight. It was just an incredible run that they went on. Eliminated the 2 seed in DBU there, and beat LSU, had them in an elimination game, got up 5-1 on them. Like that was intense. It was a lot of fun. Hell of a story there, but they did come up short. Some opportunities missed for them there. And also, I know there's some controversy there with some of the calls. The home plate umpire, may have had a little bit of homer energy in him, or I know a lot of people felt that way, but I don't know how much of that game you watched, after the Tennessee Wake stuff, but that was intense, man. And LSU, they got to be feeling pretty fortunate to get out of there.
Yeah, I actually watched more of the LSU game, I feel like, than I did of the Tennessee game, weirdly enough. My buddies, so I'm in a group message with 4 LSU grads and 1 Louisiana Tech grad, and it's just it's so fun to watch like them just go through what they go through, and all the you want to talk about hate speech. The way they talk about their team sometimes is so funny, but it's like watching them go through the roller coaster of like, this team's screwed, they don't want to be here. Oh, heck yeah, we're going to win. And watching them do it against Little Rock was very, very satisfying. Man, LSU fans, you said they feel fortunate. They definitely do. I mean, they gave up. They absolutely gave up at one point yesterday.
Yeah, they definitely did. And this is probably actually a good time to transition over to our, there it is, question of the day presented by Alumni Hall, which, by the way, we will be at Alumni Hall Friday at noon. Looking forward to that. I was hoping that it was going to lead right into, like, we would do the show, we dip out, we get over to Foghorns and, get set up and then go over to Baum. Not the case, but it will be like a day before the game event at Alumni Hall. But if you're in town for Supers and you want to get hooked up with all the latest and greatest Razorback apparel, they've got you covered. All the cool brands, all the cool stuff. Not a worry at all. If you're looking for it, anything Razorback related, they've got it at Alumni Hall, 3417 North College Avenue. Come out and hang out with us there at noon on Friday. But, we were talking about that, and, Little Rock they're up 5-1, and hey, it's not like LSU just got it all back right away. They had to chip away and chip away and chip away throughout the course of the game. Got a couple run lead there. And I know that we were talking about it in the group chat, and obviously our question of the day here was bunting the right call for Little Rock in the 8th inning versus LSU when you're a couple runs down and you've only got a handful of outs to give. What did you make of that? And then I'll give you the results. I don't know if you looked at them yet or not.
Yeah. So I don't know what the results say. I would assume that everyone disagrees with me because everyone disagreed with me on Twitter. Everyone loved the bunt call. So, okay, to refresh everyone's mind, it was 7-5. So Little Rock was up 5-1, blew that lead. And like you said, it was over the course of innings. You could kind of feel it building. LSU's up 7-5, and they have Kason Evans, a freshman who was lights out in this game. I think he finished with 13 strikeouts. He had really held Little Rock down. He was at 110 pitches. And had just issued, I think he had just issued maybe another walk and then allowed a base hit. So it's 1st and 2nd, nobody out. Bottom of the 8th inning, you're down 2, and he's at 110 pitches. Little Rock bunts. And I should also clarify, the bunt went right back to the pitcher, and he threw the guy out at third. So it was an unsuccessful bunt. But I tweeted out, I was just like, I cannot stand that bunt call. And Curtis, you can vouch for me on this. I just don't like bunting in general. Like, I don't like when teams give outs to their opponents when their opponents are struggling to get outs. And LSU was getting ready to bring in their Saturday night starter because of how bad it was for them to get outs. I didn't like that Little Rock gave up an out, even if it works out and a guy later on hit a base hit. And so everybody's like, oh, yeah, you would have tied the game. I understand that, like, wanting to tie the game. My problem is it's not the 9th inning. Tying the game is great, but trading outs to do it against the best offense in the, one of the best offenses in the country, and an offense that's been hot. They had scored in each of the previous 3 innings, and Little Rock had just used their best pitcher and had taken him out of the game. And so it's like, that situation, given the context of them being the underdog, them being out of pitching, LSU being up against the ropes, I feel like you just let that inning play out and then see if you can have a big inning, because that's what you were going to need to win that game, was a big inning. Trying to play the 1-run game here, I really don't like that move. The only time I like small ball is when it's like 1-1 game in the 9th inning. Yeah, let's bunt that guy over and play for 1 run. I don't think you should have played for 1 or 2 runs. I think you should have tried to have the biggest inning possible. And LSU was against the ropes, struggling to get any out. He had allowed 5 of the last 6 hitters he faced to reach. I would have maybe played those odds. Because again, everybody says, oh yeah, you want to tie the game, which is great. Tying the game means you're in a 7-7 game on the road against a team that is way better than you, has more pitching than you, and you're probably not going to beat, which they did not. And I felt vindicated when they gave up 3 runs in the top half to where it was like clear, like, hey, maybe we shouldn't have given our opponent an out.
Yeah, no, I think I'm with you on that. I mean, I also, subscribe to the Kent Murphy, theories on baseball, which is hit dingers and never bunt. So that's where I'm at under any circumstances. I get annoyed by bunts. I'm the same way, but to go to your point there, it was maybe closer than you expected, Andrew. So our question of the day presented by Alumni Hall was bunting the right call for Little Rock down 2 in the 8th with runners on first and second with no outs? Yes, try and tie it. 58% of the vote. No, small ball sucks. 42%. So closer than maybe you imagine there. Some debate to be had, at least. And you know what that means? It means it's a good question.
No, I feel good about that. Again, I understand the premise. Like if this were a nutshell, a lot of people are doing the thing where it's like, yeah, take it in a 40,000 foot view. If you're Little Rock, wouldn't you sign up for being tied going into the 9th inning against LSU? It's like, yeah, sure. But that ignores the context of the game that was playing out, the fact that you had the pitcher against the ropes, the fact that you were out of pitching as well, which I know everybody's like, well, LSU giving a score in 3 in the next inning. That's hindsight's 2020. It's like, no, Little Rock knew what their pitching situation was. They knew what pitching situation LSU was in. I hate when teams limit their ceiling for an inning to try and score just 1 or 2. It's like, I think you needed way more. You needed literally more than 7, but you needed a lot more than that. And I just feel like playing to like maybe tie it is just not the way I would have gone about it there. But credit to Chris Curry and his squad, man. Like, they were ready to play, and they showed up and showed out well this weekend. I just didn't love that decision.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. And so, survive in advance or whatever, like LSU makes it through by the skin of their teeth there, and they'll be able to try to regroup and move on. I want to pull up the Super Regional, the rest of the bracket here. There we go. Crazy how this is shook out. Absolutely crazy, man. Who are the regional hosts that have moved on here? Auburn,
so I guess UCLA Arkansas, is a regional Carolina host.
UCLA was, which, and I'm an idiot because I should have just looked at Los Angeles, but for the longest this morning, I was looking at that B and I was like, who the hell is that? Like, I don't get it. It took me forever. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So, Louisville was not a host, and Miami was not a 1 seed. So you got Miami and Louisville up there. That Corvallis Super, I think, is really interesting between Oregon State and Florida State, coast to coast, if you will. North Carolina survived. They wound up getting that elimination game against Oklahoma and took care of business there. They get Arizona. You've got Coastal and Auburn. Quinn, where you at? How you feeling, buddy? UTSA, I hope they go ahead and roll through UCLA there. It'd be cool. But then Duke and Murray State, I don't know what that was supposed to be if it went chalk, but it wasn't this. I guess it would have been Ole Miss, and I don't even remember who Duke beat to get there. But
yeah, who did Duke beat? Would that have been no? Southern Miss lost to Miami. Who was it that Duke beat?
Yeah, I don't know. I got to be honest with you. I don't even remember them playing. So
it would be the 7th seed, right? Who was number 7?
Georgia. Ben.
Georgia, that's right.
Yeah. So wow. So it could have been
Duke didn't even have to beat Georgia. Somebody else beat Georgia, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. An all SEC matchup is what it should have been. And now it's Murray State and Duke. That's very interesting there. West Virginia and LSU, and then Tennessee and Arkansas. When you look at that and what's left, what goes through your mind?
I see Arkansas and LSU and Tennessee. That's what I see on that side of the bracket.
Yep.
Shout out to the Roadrunners. Great work. UCLA is a solid squad. I think they're the number 16 overall seed, or maybe 15. They're solid. They're fine. It's a good program, but I see Arkansas, LSU, Tennessee, and I see one of those 3 teams winning the national title.
And it sucks that those are going to be your next two opponents, you know, to have to get to that point. It's like,
Exactly.
I will get through them and there's a road to the final, you know.
I will say credit to Florida State and Oregon State. Outside of Arkansas and Tennessee, that's the only super matchup that was like just chalk, you know, which is cool. And I think one of those two teams and Auburn are kind of I don't know. I say North Carolina's definitely probably the best team over there. North Carolina is probably the only team that I would like be in a College World Series finals with, and I'd be like, don't love it, but I still would expect Arkansas to win it.
Crazy stuff. We might come back to this in a little bit if we have time and do some predictions or something. But yeah, man, it's getting closer. Don't count your chickens before they hatch and all those other things. But man, it looks good if they can get through to Omaha. But let's move on now to our heavy hitters, presented by HD Roofing and Construction. We know that storms can hit unexpectedly, and when they do, be sure to contact HD Roofing for your peace of mind with a free inspection. I've already done it. Garrett came out, got the seal of approval, told me everything's looking okay. But yeah, the hell took its toll a little bit there. But really appreciated that, and just makes you feel better. You want to feel good about what's going on up top. That's your last line of defense before it's helling in your living room, right? So when you choose HD Roofing, you can rely on professionalism, top quality materials, and expert installation for all of your roofing needs. Check them out at hdarkansas.com. For more info, you can give them a call, 501-428-0429, or use the QR code up there in the top corner of your screen. You go first, Andrew, with your heavy hitter.
So, okay, I've got kind of a couple. One, I want to give a quick shout out to like any pitcher, like Liam Doyle last night came in and closed that game for Tennessee. Anytime you have a pitcher that's your starting pitcher, your ace, Anthony Ianson, who is not the ace, but, you know, number 2 for LSU. Anytime you have a starter come back and pitch in the bullpen in an elimination game, I just love that. Like, that always fires me up, especially these guys that are projected to be top picks. I mean, Liam Doyle is projected to go 3rd overall. He would be well within his rights to not want to pitch in that game. You know what I mean? Like, hey, actually, I don't want to pitch on 2 days rest after throwing 100 the other day. So I commend all those starting pitchers that did that. And I got to shout out my boy, Sean O'Malley. We talked about him a little bit at the top. The UFC, we don't talk UFC a ton on this program unless it's best and worst of the weekend. But with John out, I had to mix it in there. Someone asked if Sean O'Malley, if he's worth laying some money on. I think he is. One, because I'm a huge Sean O'Malley fan. I was going to bet on him no matter what. He could have been minus 700. I would bet on him. But the fact that he is like such a massive underdog after losing, this is a rematch of the fight where he lost the belt. And Curtis, you and I watched that fight together. It was a sad night, bad night.
It was.
Sean O'Malley had hip surgery right after that. And so I think that's going to be a factor. I think he's going to be a better, more refreshed, more enthused version of himself. He's going to look like the Sugar Show that we love and know. But I also think it's just worth the price. Now, Merab's a gangster. Merab's a machine. Even the best version of Sean might not be able to beat Merab, but I think he's got a lot better shot than those plus 250 odds indicate.
So we are hopeful that game 1 of the Arkansas Super Regional goes according to plan as scheduled. That way that wraps up. We get a nice little post-game show at Foghorns to celebrate a victory, and then time to get over and check out the main card. Is that where we're at?
That's pretty much where we're at. And yes, I mean, if the game ends at 7, you know, we do the post-game show. We go to about 8:30. We're there in time for the main card for sure. Really, this card, it's really just the top 2. I mean, there's 2 title fights at the top. Yeah. As long as we're set by then, which we will have more than enough time. That was definitely something I had my eyes on. And by the way, I've seen a lot of people acting like Sean has no chance. Y'all understand? Y'all understand? And look, in the first fight, obviously Merab, great performance. He earned it. It was a 48-47 decision, meaning that Merab won 3 rounds, Sean won 2, and that was with an injured hip that was surgically repaired days later. To act like it's like this just crazy uphill battle. And Merab is a legend. Merab is arguably the best bantamweight ever. Act like it's just this like crazy, especially because Merab gets pieced up in pretty much every fight he's in, you know?
You know what Sean has? A puncher's chance, and he's the best puncher in his division. So like he's knocked out some studs, man. And so it's a very much a possibility. I'm looking forward to it. I hope that it's not a snooze fest like the last one. I don't think it will be, because I think Sean learned a lot from that, and he's going to be a little bit more aggressive. He knows he's got to hurt him. So Should be a fun fight for
And
sure.
I gotta say, Marab's last fight was maybe his most entertaining. Even when Marab is like boring, he's somehow kind of entertaining. It's gonna be a fun weekend. And yeah, I mean, listen, Sean knocked out his training partner, Aljamain Sterling, who according to the streets used to dominate Marab every day in practice. And so it's just one of those things.
That's exactly right. I've got a couple here. Well, first, here's what I want to do. I want to call on all those heavy hitters out there and just let you know that the Razorback raffle is going to be up and running again this weekend. If you're interested in getting involved in that for a chance to win 50% of the prize and the rest of the proceeds going to somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a thing. And I'm really anxious to see how much that thing gets rolling, because like, you're not going to have the like the first go around kind of hype to it as you did before, where everybody's like, oh wow, this is new, let's get with it. But you're also going to have the hype of everybody being pumped up about a super, getting ready to go to Omaha. But then again, you got to wonder about people who are like, I don't know if I can even afford these tickets, because I'm trying to figure out where the hell I'm going to stay when we go to Omaha. I'm anxious to see where they can run this raffle up to. But I was wondering if they could, and if they were going to do it for the postseason. I guess you can do it whenever you want to correspond with whatever you want, but I know it's like an NCAA run event and everything. And I didn't know if that would impact their ability to do it for a super or not, but apparently it doesn't. So there's that part of it. But I got to tell you, my heavy hitter, it's Arkansas football, folks. It's Arkansas football. Yeah, that's right. We're going to talk about it. I didn't do this, but the ESPN FPI did. Find someone who loves you like the FPI loves Arkansas football. Bro, they did last year. Arkansas could lose 3 in a row, win one game, and it's like, oh, hey, they're number 25 in the FPI. Whatever that algorithm was, they really, they cheated the sit. They were like LSU in basketball was a few years ago when with the net, when Eric Musselman would freak out about it. But hey, man, college football top 25, according to the ESPN FPI, which updated this morning, got the Razorbacks sitting pretty at number 22, one spot ahead of Eli Drinkwitz in Missouri. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I'm suspicious that it will be, but I love seeing it right now, man. Sign me up for that.
That's the funniest part, is that they're one spot ahead of Missouri. And it's also hilarious because Hog fans have hated the ESPN FPI for years, like hated it. I remember I used to have to write stories about the ESPN FPI back in my heyday. And every single one of the comments would just be telling me how stupid it is and how much it doesn't mean anything. And now it's kind of the only case you can make to why Arkansas would be good. It's like there's some type of and I don't know how they base it off of returning production or what. I guess Taylor Green's passing yards is probably what is really pushing that sucker forward. But I'll take it, certainly. And it's going to be funny to watch Hog fans be like, no, we don't suck. We're top 25 in the ESPN FPI that we all know is great.
Yeah, man, that's hilarious. A lot of SEC flavor. I mean, Texas, Georgia, Bama, 1, 2, and 3. Who else is in there? Texas A&M at 8, Tennessee at 10, LSU 12, Ole Miss 13, Auburn 14, South Carolina 15, Oklahoma 16, Florida 18, and then you got Arkansas 22, Missouri 23. It's kind of just like the recruiting rankings, like where you can see Arkansas and it's like, dang, man, cool. They got a, top 20, top 25 class or whatever. This is great. And then until you realize it's, 13th or something in the SEC, the league is just built different, man. But I was pleasantly surprised to see that, man. Good for them. Good for them.
I love that. Is this a safe space, Curtis?
It is. Yeah. It's always a safe space.
I'm counting on the chat to keep this a safe space too.
Okay.
I think the Texas A&M Aggies are going to be a damn good football team this fall. Like a damn good football team. Like potentially go to the playoff type of football team.
You on the Marcel Reed hype train?
I like Marcel Reed. I'm not on the Marcel Reed hype train because I think what he is a game manager that's pretty athletic, that doesn't do stupid stuff. But for Mike Elko and his football teams, that's the kind of guy he thrives with. I think they're going to be very good defensively. They always have good talent. I think Elko's a really good coach, and I think A&M. I haven't looked at their schedule, but I kind of think the Aggies are going to be very good at football.
They very well may be. I might be a little bit more confident in them than I am Alabama. I mean, I know. I don't know about that one, man. I don't know if they're going to be that.
Alabama's quarterback.
Whoever backed him up last year, I think. He was named Ty Simpson or whatever?
Oh, he's like, I think he was like a 5-star 9 years ago. And so they're going to announce him as a former 5-star. That's always when you know a guy sucks absolute donkey penis whenever they say he's a former first-round pick or a former 5-star. That's when you know someone sucks.
Yeah, especially when they're like a junior or a senior. It's like, yeah, you've done absolutely nothing, but you were perceived to be talented at some point. I don't know about them, man. And if it was that situation at quarterback and in some other spots, and I know they've still got some very, very talented receivers and all that, but if it was under Nick Saban's tutelage, I'd give him the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
But I'm not going to do that with Kalen DeBoer. He hasn't earned it yet in the SEC at least. So I don't know, man. We'll see what's going on there. Any other heavy hitters for you?
No, but now that we're talking college football, my heavy hitters, actually, now that I think about it, the sophomore wide receiver class. Everybody talks about Ryan Williams, who is obviously a stud. I mean, a generational talent potentially. He might not even be their best receiver in his class. Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State. He is. That dude is a freaking demon, dude. I wasn't woke as I needed to be on how special he is. I didn't realize he was a freshman the whole time I watched him last year. I watched him dominate the playoffs. I did not realize he was a freshman. I thought he was like a junior. That dude has 2 more years of college football left. And you look at the numbers he put up at Ohio State last year. You look at the body type and everything. Like, that dude is a 1-1 type of receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. He's the real. Who's Ohio State's quarterback, by the way?
I feel like I should know this. They would have they had to have brought in a transfer, right? I mean, they had Will Howard, who was. I mean, they'll never have a quarterback that bad for the rest of their time. Yeah. And he wasn't horrible, but it's like they'll have a better, more stable quarterback position. I don't know. Right. I don't know who their quarterback is.
For sure. I don't know. I don't care that much. I'll look it up later. I did want to bring up. Yeah, exactly. I did want to bring up one more thing for us to talk about today, and then we'll get into the chat to wrap things up here. And appreciate everybody for tuning in, making this part of your day, or this afternoon, whatever the hell John says. Yeah. Arkansas football got a commitment yesterday.
Yeah.
A good one, very good one. 4-star offensive lineman Bryce Gilmore chose the Razorbacks, and he had, this is a good get for the Razorbacks. Yeah. Okay. I haven't looked at the rankings to see if he's like the top one that they have in the 2026 class or not, but his other finalists, let's see, Ole Miss, Penn State, Arizona State, Vandy. So some other SEC schools, some good programs there, and they won out on him, which is good to see there. But I want to talk about his comments that he made because we got tagged on this a couple times in Twitter from people. And hey, like he said all the right things. Like, why did you choose Arkansas? And he was like, hey man, like Coach Mateos, Coach Pittman, I know that I can get developed here. Their track record with offensive linemen and all that, which was exactly what you would expect an offensive lineman to say that's coming to Arkansas, right? Like that's a big part of the pitch there. But he kind of wrapped by talking about how much he fell in love with the university, fell in love with the school, fell in love with the town of Fayetteville, to where if something went wrong with the coaching staff, that he's comfortable with his decision. You know what I mean? And a lot of people were tagging me in that, like, whoa. Like, why is he putting it out there? I wanted to get your thoughts on how you felt about that statement. To me, that made me feel good because it's no secret that any, hot seat list or whatever that comes out there this offseason or hell, the ones that did last year is very much like Sam Pittman's on it, man. Like this is not a secret to anyone out there. It's kind of the reality of the situation. So he's not immune to that. It's not like he's naive to it and he didn't know. And it's not like the other, like, you don't think Lane Kiffin, when he finds out that this kid's leaning Arkansas and if he really wants him, he's going, yeah, but is Pittman and those guys, are they even going to be there? By the time you get to campus, you really think they're going to be there for your entire time? It's negative recruiting. It's just part of the process. And so if that's the case, you have a decision to make, like the risk of, and it's not just at Arkansas with Sam Pittman, it's anywhere with most coaching staffs of, yeah, there's a risk involved with, the staff that recruited me not being there the entire time that I'm there. So what do you lean on? Like what makes the reward outweigh it? It's falling in love with your environment and your surroundings and a fan base and a school and a town. And so like, I'm not bothered that he, subtly mentioned the possibilities there. In fact, I feel better about it because a lot of times the guy comes and commits an offensive lineman for Sam Pittman, you would think, well, if he winds up out of here, next year or 2 years, 3, whenever from now, it's an automatic portal entry. And that's not necessarily the case with this kid if he's telling the truth. So I was unbothered by it.
I'm with you where I viewed it as a net positive more than anything. One, it's always cool to get a commit of any type, regardless of who your head coach is. But I thought that comment was very interesting. It made me think, what do you think Sam Pittman, what do you think those conversations with Sam Pittman have been like with that kid, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah.
That also, we had a lot this time last year. We were in retirement rumor galore with Sam Pittman. I think that kind of quote is something that I think we may point back to and say, did Sam Pittman maybe tell some of these recruits, hey, come to Arkansas and we're going to have a great year and then I'm going to retire and then I'm going to dip out of here, but you need to stay at Arkansas or whatever. Who knows? We can all have our hypothesis or whatever, but I'm with you where I love that. Makes me feel good. By the way, you mentioned he's the highest rated recruit in Arkansas's 2026 class, which is not saying a ton. They don't have a ton of huge star guys. He's their second 4-star. They have a 4-star edge out of Oklahoma, Colton Yarborough. Their quarterback, I forget what's the quarterback's name? Javon Gilmore.
Yes.
Javon Gilmore,
Yeah.
does that sound right? He's close to being a 4-star as well. He's their top. I think he's their third highest recruit. I know Arkansas is also potentially, there's a lot of buzz with them and potentially a 4-star wide receiver, which would be very encouraging. I mean, anytime you can get a 4-star wide receiver, that's big time. Because Arkansas is loaded up on commits for this 2026 class. They're currently number 14 in the rankings. And people use that and like, hey, look, that's good. It's just because Arkansas is loaded up on commits. Their average player ranking, as we know, dead last in the SEC. And as Jacob Scott Davis said, shout out to his tweet, would be third in the Sun Belt. That maybe is not true after something like this because you get a big-time commit. I want to say big-time, your highest-rated commit. This is the kind of commit that actually moves the needle. Arkansas is loaded up on these mid 3-star guys that have just kind of made the class look better because they have more commits than other teams. This is actually a notable player. And so certainly good to get someone like that. And if they can get that other 4-star receiver, it'd make me feel a little bit better about the class. We'll see where it ends up in the rankings. It definitely will drop. It will not finish 14th. But I think this is the type of player you can get that maybe can make that class a little bit more respectable.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And the deal, like this is usually how it goes is there's a big run on commitments in the summer, in June, July, and you'll see Arkansas creep up there, in those rankings and, they'll pass a couple teams. And it's always that thing where Arkansas will have a bunch of players and they're at a certain spot. And then a place like Alabama will have like 9 commits or whatever. And so they'll go on their run of guys and they'll pass you or whatever. But then the biggest thing for Arkansas, and this is always the case, is keep the guys on the hook until signing day and make it official. I'm not saying don't get excited about commitments like, hey, this is great. But we've been begging Sam Pittman to get as many 4-star offensive linemen as possible, and we've been critical of him when it hasn't happened or when those guys haven't panned out. So this is a good one. Keep these guys, keep this class intact. See what this season looks like, and then you get to that signing day. It's all going to be very, very important to monitor. It's kind of like retention before you even get them on campus. You know what I mean? So we'll see what it looks like. But at any rate, let's move on and we'll wrap up in the chat here, but just a couple other things that we want to talk about as we transition to a little BetSaracen segment here. And honestly, kudos to them for taking my money over the course of the weekend. What I've figured out here is my best, like my betting skills, my savvy, it might be college football. For whatever reason, man, like I'm better at it, bro. College basketball, sometimes I think I overthink it, pretending to be a ball knower or whatever. College baseball, I've been up and down a little bit, but UFC is that's the hit or miss. You were mentioning O'Malley earlier. What was his line again?
So I haven't looked at it recently on SARACEN, but last I checked, it was plus 245. And so I'm sure now these UFC lines move like crazy all the way up until like the last hour of the fight. Let me see if I can pull up that line here on our friends over at BetSaracen. So I'm looking at, they do the thing where they like have, let's see, where are we at? They do the thing where it's like they have separate tabs for it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
you got to find them.
But I'm seeing Sean O'Malley at plus 240. So right around that same range. Marab at minus 275.
Okay. Ooh. Yeah.
You know what the co-main is, right, Curtis? Kayla Harrison versus Juliana Pena. Kayla Harrison is the challenger in this title fight, minus 700, and she is not the champion.
That's insane. But actually, it's not insane at all. Kayla Harrison's gonna burn. That might end in life, actually, on Saturday. Like, I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. I was hoping that they had the some updated lines and everything for the supers and all that, but that'll probably come in the next day or two. And so what I want to do, and I hinted at this earlier in exchange, is we'll pull back up this super regional bracket. Let's go rapid fire here real quick and give our picks for each one of these. Miami, Louisville, in Louisville. What do you think?
So I'm going Miami, and I have no other basis for this other than I just like Miami baseball. You remember they were really good back in the 90s and like early 2000s. Like, I remember them being a cool program. I don't know if you know who Warren Morris is.
I do not know who Warren Morris
well,
is.
he played at LSU, and he hit a walk-off home run against Miami and against Alex Cora, who I believe is the manager of the Red Sox. Is that right? I don't know. But he had a walk-off home run in Rosenblatt to win the College World Series. I believe it's the only one that has ever happened, a walk-off to win the College World Series. He is from Alexandria, Louisiana. He is a local legend. And so I remember him doing that against Miami. And so I grew up like watching that clip a lot. But Miami baseball just feels like an Omaha. Like, it feels cool when they're there.
I agree. Yeah. And I'm going with them for that exact same reason. It makes sense.
Warren Morris hit a walk-off against them back in 96.
For the other reasons. Makes sense. I like the uniforms better. I'm soured on the entire state of Kentucky, and that includes Louisville, so I don't care what they do. This Corvallis is interesting, man. Florida State going all the way across the country there to Oregon State. And I just wonder, because Oregon State didn't play in a conference this year, right? Is that
correct?
So it's just kind of a weird deal. So it might be a little bit hard to gauge how good they really are. Florida State. I listen, sign me up for chaos, because just like I wanted Tennessee for Arkansas in a super, I want this to end in Omaha with Oregon State, like just just an absolute revenge tour. And it was funny because you said that when we were sitting at the game the other night, and the woman that was sitting in front of us, she turned around and looked at you and she was like, "No, absolutely not. I do not want to see Oregon State. You're crazy. This is wild." I want that. I'm not confident in it, but I'm going to pick the Beavers because I want that matchup again to right a wrong.
You do love your Beaver, man, but I am going to go against you. I'm going with Florida State. I don't know why I'm blanking on the kid's name, but Florida State has arguably the best arm in the country. Their left-handed pitcher, their ace, who struck out 13 Mississippi State Bulldogs the other day. I think he's just an absolutely electric arm. Florida State's got a lot of talent, man. It's crazy that North Carolina wound up being the ACC team that's a national seed and has all this. North Carolina beat Florida State in a series a couple of weeks ago. I think it was to finish the regular season. But I spent all year thinking Florida State was the best ACC team, like the biggest threat to the SEC. I think they've like borderline underachieved, and which is tough to say about a team that was a regional host. And I think they're the number 9 overall seed in this tournament. I think Florida State is like the closest you can find to SEC talent outside of the SEC. And like you said about Oregon State, we don't really know much about the bloke, like we have no idea how good this team is. And so that atmosphere, which seats as many as 4,000 fans in there, man, they'll pack them in there in Corvallis. It'll be tough, but I like Florida State in this one. That's a lot of travel, though.
I'm going with the Tar Heels over Arizona at home. I've heard people say, well, you just said about Florida State. I've heard a lot of people say that about North Carolina too, that they might be the closest by way of some of this SEC talent that's not in the SEC. And I know they had a little bit of a scare there with Oklahoma, but they corrected that pretty quick in that elimination game there. I don't know as much about Arizona other than, I don't know much about them at all. So I'm sticking with the Heels here.
We're going North Carolina by default.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Are we in the mood to piss off Quinn today, or are we sticking with Auburn to take care of Coastal at home?
So this is a win-win series for me personally. One, because I don't really care that much. But one, to your point, I actually do want Quinn to be happy. I want Quinn to be in Omaha with us. That would be awesome. I'd love to meet him, shake his hand and all that. I love Butch Thompson. I've been riding for them all year. I'd love Auburn. But my guy, Chris Phillips at SEC Unfiltered, who I'm going on with him tomorrow, he really pissed off Coastal fans yesterday
I saw that.
and put out a clip about how he can't wait for Auburn to whip their ass. Just for that, and because we're going to be linking up with Chris in Omaha, I kind of want Coastal to be there to chirp him. So I wouldn't be too upset if Coastal got it done. And I mean, I respect Coastal as a program, man. Weirdly enough, dude, the year that they won the national title, they beat LSU in a super. And my buddy who played at LSU, it was his unofficial visit. We got tickets to that. I had no idea. I didn't know anything about Coastal Carolina, anything until that weekend. I was like, holy cow, this team is nasty. And then they win the national title. I've just respected that program since, and they've hung around. They're always in this tournament, always a threat. I like Coastal, man. I like the Chanticleers.
I like their uniforms. I just like the colors. You know, it's cool. I'm sticking with Quinn though. Yeah, give me Auburn there. I would love the Roadrunners to continue their trek straight to Omaha. I'm gonna go with UCLA here.
The fighting Jackie Robinsons.
Hey, sure. I'm gonna roll with the capital B's here that I couldn't place for like 10 minutes this morning. I was like, who the hell is this? Yeah, that's where I'm at. And listen, awesome stuff by UTSA taking down Texas. I mean, it would almost be like, well, not quite actually, because when UTSA was a 2 seed, right?
Yeah, they had a great year, man. They were, yeah.
Yeah, because I was about to say it would have been like if Little Rock continued the run and got all the way through, but it's actually very, very different. They were actually a really good team. I'm going to stick with UCLA at home, though.
Yeah, I'm good with the Bruins here. It is a natural stepping off point. This is the first ever super for UTSA. They're going to have a little happy to be here mentality. That's a lot of travel. Oh, I guess not that much. I mean, San Antonio to Los Angeles, honestly, isn't that crazy, but
easy flight.
Yeah, it's not too bad, but I'm going to stick with the Bruins there.
Was this the first super for Murray State also?
I believe it is, yes.
So
John Morant took them that one year. They were close.
Yeah. Duke's going to get it done, though.
Yeah, Duke is another team that's like hung around. They've been in a lot of these tournaments, a lot of these regionals. They've been in the mix before. I think Murray State happy to be here. They were hanging by a thread last night. I think they're still surprised that they're even going to be playing in this situation.
Yeah. LSU, are they going to figure it out? Have they received the wake up call that they needed, or is a scrappy little West Virginia bunch going to come take it to them?
I think not only did LSU survive the wake up call, they got their game 3 situation very much sorted out. I can't believe they didn't start Case and Evans, which it turned out to work out for them. But he's been their number 3 guy for the last 5 or 6 weeks. I believe when he started against Arkansas, it was like his 2nd or 3rd start. And Arkansas hit him pretty well. He's a freshman that is a future first-round pick. He looked like he became a man last night. It looked like that was kind of obviously wasn't facing the most dynamic of offenses, but I think that is probably a turning point for him. And so I think LSU has probably the best starting pitching situation in the country, all things considered.
Yeah, they're solid there. And sometimes you need that. Like, you need the wake up call. You got to rally. You got to go through a little bit of adversity. And that's what some people are going to talk about. That'll be the spin for Tennessee, is like, hey, they've gotten to the postseason here. They faced some adversity. They overcame it. Arkansas has been cruising. I don't think it matters. I was going to do the bit where I was like, yeah, and in Fayetteville, I'm just going to give the nod to the defending champs and, see if I get some people go. I'm not doing that. Like, Arkansas is going to win it. They're going to win in 2 games. They're moving on.
People forget that Arkansas already took their lumps. Like, it's not like Arkansas has been on cruise control for 6 months. Like, they went through a stretch where the entire fan base was convinced. Dude, I mean, listen, I'm not obviously, like, there's a lot of people that doubted, when you lose a game, you lose some fans or whatever. I had like real life fans trying to be like, dude, I actually don't see a path for this team to Omaha. Don't see how they could make it. I'm like, you don't see any world in which they make it. So it's kind of funny how it's flipped full circle now, where it's like people are like, oh, there's no way they won't make it to Omaha now.
Craziness, absolute craziness. All right, let's get into the chat here, and then we'll wrap it up for the day. Just a few more minutes. I saw a couple people asking about this. Let me see if I can find. There it is. Arkansas Pig Punter 69 says, please talk about Tennessee's catcher getting suspended as well. Yeah, we touched on that at the top, which is some of the craziness of that game, but we didn't really elaborate. So Mr. Peebles got ejected last night in that game, and I guess he was, what Tony V say, that he was talking to their catcher. Is that what it was?
I can't remember. I didn't hear what Tony V said about it, but
yeah, I think he was talking to the to Wake Forest catcher there. But anyway, he got run right out of the game, which means that he is suspended for game 1 of the Super in Fayetteville, which is very, very interesting. And I saw some, I guess another layer to the Liam Doyle. Do you pitch him Saturday or do you hold him until Sunday? I guess whoever the backup catcher is has caught the other guy several times this season. So it just kind of, I guess, lended itself a little bit more towards that thought process of they might go with him in game 1 and Doyle in game 2 because he's been exclusively with Peebles. I don't know if they'll do that, but I just saw some Tennessee folks talking about it.
Yeah, I can't remember the other dude's name, but they've had, I mean, most teams do have multiple catchers that they'll use. That other guy's played a good bit this season, so it's not like a huge thing. Weirdly enough, y'all remember Cannon Peebles because he's the guy who pimped the home run against Hunter Dietz in game 1. Was kind of the only moment of that series where it got chippy. Cannon Peebles, who came into the series against Arkansas hitting like 220, raised his average to like 247 because he crushed Arkansas in that weekend series a few weeks ago. Now, he's not the most offensive, guy in that lineup or whatever, but for a catcher, he's got above average offense. He's been swinging the bat really well for them lately, and it all kind of started at Arkansas. So this is definitely a notable figure to not be there. But I think that's the most notable thing is one, I mean, your catcher's not catching, your starting catcher's not going to be there game 1, maybe changes your pitching rotation. And he's got a lot. I mean, he's ejected from that game, pimped a homer against Hunter Dietz. He's got a lot of that, all that douchebaggery that we were talking about earlier. Cannon Peebles epitomizes that. So certainly a factor. I don't know if it's one of those things where it changes the way I view the series overall, but that's certainly a notable development.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. Kevin Spencer says, are we the home team every game?
Nope. It'll be home, road, home.
Yeah.
If there's a game 3, of course. Because if y'all remember, Arkansas walked off North Carolina in 2022. You can only walk off a team if you are in the bottom half, if you are the home team in that game. And so they do the supers the same stupid way.
Yep. Our man Garrett, shout out to Garrett, by the way, HD Roofing Construction. He says, one of the only things that makes me nervous is that it's hard to beat a team 4 times. Part of me wishes we would have lost the series at home during the season. I wonder how you feel about this. Do you think that plays in baseball? Because I know we do that a lot in basketball where it's like, oh, Arkansas swept the season series against Texas or whatever. Gosh, you really don't want to face them in the SEC tournament in Nashville because it's really hard to beat a team 3 times. I don't know how much that plays in baseball with the different pitchers, different arms, and all the other variables there.
Yeah, you hear that. It's hard to beat a team 3 times. That's in a single elimination format. In a 1-game situation, 3 wins is notable. 4 times over the course of 6 games is not the same as going 4-0 against the team. That's why series are designed that way. So you don't have that one weird thing. I hear you. I mean, hell, Arkansas beat Ole Miss in a series in 2022 and then lost to them in Omaha. We've seen it go the other way where Arkansas beat South Carolina in a series in 2018. Then they beat them in the Supers. I think in 2019, Ole Miss actually beat Arkansas at Baum in the regular season and then lost to them in the Supers. I really think it's you have 2 teams that are very good that are around the same level. It's going to be close. Every game's going to be close. One team's going to win 2. You just got to hope it's you.
Right. Let's see. Ryan McDaniel, we appreciate the super chat. Brother says, first game in the Hog Pen on Sunday. Any tips? As hell. Yeah, I was gonna say I've never sat in the Hog Pen, but the only thing I know is that there is a line and it's thick. So if you want to get some ideal, merchandise there, some premium seating for whatever that's worth, you better get there early, man.
If you want my actual advice and opinion, I would say don't sit in the Hog Pen. I would say use that ticket to get in and then just walk around the concourse, find a good spot. My buddy, we were talking to Robert Stewart. He sat with us on Saturday, but he stood behind home plate and watched the entire weekend, and he had a great time. If you are going to sit in the Hog Pen, you got to get a seat. So you got to get there early. And if you do that, you're not going to be able to hang out with us at Foghorn. So, it's a double-edged sword, but you'll have a good time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Okay. I'm bringing this up. And, I meant to earlier, but we kind of ran out of time. We're going to go a few minutes over. Who cares? People are still listening. That's great. Papa Dragon says, can we get your thoughts on baseball's Hog Tua tweet? I'm glad they deleted it.
Really? I am not glad they deleted it. So much so because, it's funny is I use the Razorback Twitter account all the time for thumbnail pictures, whatever. I went looking for it because I was going to use that as the thumbnail for my show yesterday. And I couldn't find it. And I was like, oh, wow, they deleted it. They caved to the mob because everyone was responding to them to delete it.
Well,
I just thought it was funny.
I thought it was funny, not offended by it. Like, I don't care. That's not why I'm happy that they deleted it. I just think about the context of Hawk Tua spitting on that thing. And then you put out Hog Tua and it's Gage spitting on what?
Yeah. So it's,
on what?
You know,
that's the only thing for me, because I don't want it to be twisted in a way that it shouldn't be for my man there. So that's the only reason I'm happy about it.
Which, like, okay, fair, but like, is that really, like, are we really gonna like overanalyze it to where we're like, oh yeah, they're insinuating that Gage Wood is sucking Creighton's? You know, it's like I don't know.
We won't, but Twitter will.
Which they did. You're right, and again, they caved to the mob. That's what I also don't like. I hate when people cave to the mob, and I hated to see them. I thought it was a freaking hilarious tweet, man.
I laughed hard. Yeah, I thought it was funny.
Very good.
Sweet Arkansas Gal says you should go on a Dives and Diners tour of North Arkansas.
This is a great idea.
I think so too.
So I don't have cable, so I hardly ever watch just actual TV. But when I'm in Arkadelphia, I get access to cable, and so I love just like watching TV, just sifting through channels because I never get to do it. And I watched a lot of Diners, Dives, and Drive-Ins. Is that the name of the Guy Fieri show?
Diners, Drive-Ins, Dives, yeah.
Yeah. We should do something like that for sure.
I would absolutely love to do that. Inside Arkansas, we can do the food branch.
I mean,
is that a new idea? We got
great idea, Curtis.
Oh, that would be fun, man. Finch says, talking about six packs, are y'all more beer guys or leaning more on the hard stuff? Interesting, because I feel like in a way we're opposites here. I'm a beer guy. And hard liquor makes me feel weird, and not like drunk. I mean, you know, that's kind of part of the part of the equation there. But for whatever reason, I don't know what it is in it, but pretty much any type, even if I just like, if I'm on the, you know, we go on vacation and have a margarita or something like that, it makes me like ache, man. Like it just makes me feel weird and stuff. Sometimes like I have a fever. I just, for whatever reason, my body doesn't react well to it. Beers, I know I can have a few, not going to get crazy, know my limitations, sip on them, enjoy them, and I'm good to go. And I'm not a beer snob by any means. Like you'll catch me with a Busch Light all the time, but I mix it up too and try some different things and everything. So I'm definitely more of a beer guy. Andrew, I know you like your Makers and Coke though, man.
Yeah, but I will say, I mean, one, and you know this, like I'm really not much of a drinker, period.
Not really,
like
no.
everybody says they're a social drinker, but I'm the world's only social drinker. I drink in social situations. I don't drink outside of social situations. It's that simple. Here's the thing. If I'm trying to get drunk, like truly drunk, and I need to do it in a 3-hour window, that's obviously when I go hard. Like I do a Makers and Coke, or I'll do whatever. I don't mind. I had a mark from JJ's not too long ago. I don't, you know, and again, I don't have a diverse bag or anything, but I do, like a lot of times when I'm socially drinking and I just want to have, you know, a drink here and there, I'll drink beer because beer is very easy to have one or two and, you know, just be kind of hanging out. But I don't know if it's college football and it's a Saturday, Arkansas plays at 7, I'll drink beer all day. And then that's the one time beer is like really, if you're trying to get drunk because the thing is, if you're getting drunk on beer, that's a lot of calories. So I need to space it out.
Yeah, I feel you. Hog fan Trey wants us to know we were actually top 5 in the SEC for the 2026 class.
Which, again, we touched on it earlier, is a little bit deceiving because Arkansas is loaded up on commits. There's a lot of teams like Michigan or whoever that has like 3 commits. When they get 2 more commits, they'll obviously average player rating is what you really need to be looking at, which is what Scott Davis's tweet was referencing, that Arkansas is last in that, which I think is what Trey was responding to, because someone was like, we're last in the SEC. And he's like, no, we're top 5. The answer is neither. What really is, you're ranked 14th, which I think is top 5 in the SEC, but it's very early on. Arkansas is most likely tracking for a 25 to 30 level class.
Yeah, that's usually the wheelhouse right there. So, okay, just a couple more, and then we'll wrap it up here. Good way. It's always nice when you get a testimonial for a sponsor there.
Oh yeah.
Jakota comes through. He says, HD is replacing my whole roof, downspouts, and gutters. They've been wonderful working with. Love to hear that. Where did you hear about HD Roofing and Construction? I just assume it's us. It might not be, but even if it's not, let's just pretend it is. Good work, man. We like.
I'm fairly sure it is, though, right?
I think so. It's got to be. Yeah, I mean, Dakota's a regular. Yeah, he's an OG in here, so he could probably recite the read by himself, which was funny actually because over on the Discord, the Dixon Discord yesterday, I don't know if you saw this or not, but I got on there at one point and I saw someone was in there talking about, man, I just gotta get a Razorback hat. Got to have a hat for the Supers, and somebody literally recited our entire spiel about Alumni Hall and 3417 North College Avenue and the discount code and everything like that, like word for word, verbatim, the way that, we would do it or John would do it or whatever. And the person went and used the discount code and got a hat from Alumni Hall. So you love to see it, man. It's ingrained in people's memories. Just like John's little tagline there as he comes in and gives 30% of this super chat to YouTube there, just to say, making us part of your afternoon this afternoon. There we go. There you have it. Thank you, John. We appreciate you. And we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, I think. Yeah.
We're looking forward to it, especially because we'll be in a cool location.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. Queen comes in. We appreciate the super chat, buddy. I hope you're doing well. Recuperating, and getting geared up for another weekend there at Auburn for the Supers. He said, I love Makers and Coke. That's my go-to drink. There you go. I've never had it. So that might have to change at Foghorns this weekend. Give her a
Makers
shot.
is like the only bourbon that my brother is a huge bourbon guy. And he's also a lot more wealthy than I am. He's always having the fanciest, and he drinks them on the rocks or whatever. Like he doesn't throw Coke in them or whatever. But Makers is like the only bourbon that I've ever really enjoyed. Actually, that's a lie. Buffalo Trace is pretty good. There's a couple more that I'm thinking of. There's actually some decent ones, but Makers is the go-to.
Yeah. No, Buffalo Trace is good. My brother's a big bourbon guy. He was trying to get me on some of those kits recently. I remember the first time that I tried Buffalo Trace, and I looked down and 3 new hairs grew on my chest immediately. I was like, oh wow, that's kind of crazy how that works. So anyway, dang, Andrew, I think we held down the fort. We've done an entire show. The house hasn't burned down. Inside Arkansas is not in shambles, and we'll live to see another day. Any final thoughts before we get out of here? I think we did a decent job. Bang up job.
I think we did a decent job as well. I'm excited for this weekend. Excited for the rest of this week too. Excited for tomorrow. We're going to be at the Hog Heaven House. That's going to be awesome. Excited to be at Alumni Hall. These are the good old days. These are the Andy Bernard good old days that he referenced when he says, I wish you could know you're in them before you left them. We're in them.
Absolutely love that. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Looking forward to getting the whole band back together tomorrow, and we'll be out on location and allegedly looking dapper. So make sure you're on the lookout for that. A lot of good things coming. So make sure that you are tapped in to everything that we got going on over here. If you're not subscribed to the Inside Arkansas YouTube channel, do that. Just do it while you're here. We certainly do appreciate it. Trying to expand that reach as much as we can. Find us wherever you find your podcast as well. You can find the audio version of this, Apple, Spotify, anywhere. And then we also have our baseball specific podcast, Bombastic, where you can do the same. We've got the Pot at the Palace basketball that continues to roll out here daily. And we certainly do appreciate everybody's support, love along the way. Looking forward to getting back out to all these places and seeing all you folks coming out there. It's nice to put a face to a name, even if it's just a screen name, which we love when people introduce themselves that way. But we're going to get out of here for now. Thank you guys for tapping in with us. Always for Andrew Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas. We'll catch you guys again tomorrow. Everybody have a good day.